Okay, we can now speak to Mohamad Bazzi, who's the director of the Center for Near Eastern Studies at New York University, joining us from New York. Thank you for your time. What is Israel trying to achieve by targeting the heart of the south of Lebanon with the airstrikes on the city of Tyre today?
In many ways, Israel is trying to spread fear among Lebanese civilians, and this has been the strategy over the past month when Israel intensified its attacks on Lebanon, when Israel has essentially launched a full-scale war on Lebanon, starting in mid to late September, with those intensified aerial bombardment, mass displacement of civilians. We've seen the same. We've seen Israel use the same playbook in Gaza. These two strategies of massive aerial bombardment, of displacing civilians, and the strategy of issuing these so-called evacuation orders, which in Lebanon, certainly, Lebanon as a sovereign country, Israel has no basis for issuing evacuation orders in a foreign sovereign country, and so this is partly intended to spread fear and to destroy portions of the Lebanese infrastructure, and also to make parts of southern Lebanon uninhabitable,
Right, but
the parts
strategically
closest to
for
the Israeli
Israel,
border.
strategically, what purpose does it serve?
In a short-term strategy, it appears that Israel is winning, that Israel is carrying out these intense airstrikes. It's able to displace 1 million Lebanese civilians. In the long term, I would argue it's a failed strategy, because you can't bomb your way to safety and peace on the Israel-Lebanon border. You need a political settlement to settle this. And Israeli leadership has shown no interest in pursuing that political settlement so far.
And the bombings, the timings of the bombings of the center of Tyre, as the U.S. Defense Secretary departs Israel, as Amos Hochstein was also in Beirut earlier this week. I mean, what do you make of the timing? Is it a coincidence that the Israelis have escalated now?
We've seen a pattern of the Israelis and of Netanyahu's government escalating while U.S. officials are in the region, while U.S. officials wrap up their visits to Israel, and while there are discussions of a ceasefire. Anthony Blinken, the Secretary of State, once again said that he hopes there's a ceasefire. He tried to urge Netanyahu and his government to use the killing of Yahya Sinwar, the Hamas leader, last week, to use that as the opening, to take the win, and to pursue a ceasefire in Gaza and Lebanon. And as soon as the U.S. officials depart, we see Israel escalating the war instead of winding it down.
And now we see, of course, the U.S. has sent its missile defense battery, the THAAD system, to defend Israel from any sort of retaliatory Iranian attack that might take place. But the Biden administration seems to be embroiling itself more and more in this war in the region. How big a gamble is this for the Democrats, for the Biden administration, 3 weeks before an election?
That's an excellent point. Usually, American presidents and American administrations try not to put U.S. forces, U.S. troops on the ground so close before such a pivotal election. And here we have the Biden administration deploying 100 U.S. troops to operate that missile defense system in Israel. The first time, at least publicly, we've seen such a large deployment of U.S. troops on Israeli territory. And it's coming 3 weeks before the election. Right now, today, we're 2 weeks from the election, and you have U.S. troops potentially in danger. And that does not go over well with U.S. voters. It's a huge risk for Democrats. Already, Kamala Harris and the Biden administration risked a lot by their unwavering support for Israel. They're risking undecided and uncommitted voters, especially in the pivotal state of Michigan, where there's a large number of Arab American and Muslim American voters. But that doesn't seem to have swayed and changed U.S. policy.
Okay, Mohamad Bazzi, thank you so much for speaking to us from New York.
Thank you for having me.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.